a slurp of this Red Bull. I have so much energy now. So much energy. No!
Too much energy.
Too much energy. There we go. Industrial strength Purell. You know, it's interesting that I have this up here, just like so. As I'm looking at everybody, I can just. I'm just going to disinfect while I'm not doing anything.
Stay clean.
Somebody made eye contact.
You're not committing Purell in your eyes.
Exactly. Clears your eyes up. Dry eye. Use Purell. Don't use Purell. So everybody watching on TikTok, don't use Purell for that function. No.
Ooh,
My goodness.
that would be, I already need glasses. That would be awful.
Well, everyone, y'all having a good time today? Awesome. Looks like everyone managed to make it out even with the time change. So glad to have you here, but even more, I'm glad to have Daniel Ross. Thank you for being here, Daniel.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. So glad to be here in Chicago. Wait, no. Oh, sorry. Wrong tour date.
I was like,
Are you
man,
talking
I'm
Sire?
really good at sweat. I slept all the way in Chicago.
Come on, sit down. Everybody in. Let's go.
Well, we've got Daniel here. He's ready to answer some questions about, well, just...
I don't know that I am, actually. I'm just here.
Oh, you're just here just having a good time?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
See how this goes.
See how the Red Bull takes it. Anyway, so everyone, whoever has a question, please go ahead and pop over here. I've got a mic for you. So
Don't be shy. Come on, step right up. Answer the questions.
Did Donald inherit any of McScrooge's money?
That would imply that McScrooge is willing to give it, which I don't think is the case.
all right, what we got out here? Oh, here we are.
What is your favorite and least favorite thing about being the voice of Donald? I know a lot of people love him and a lot of people really don't. I love him.
You know, I'm in the camp of folks who love him. I grew up with Donald Duck. My parents knew who Donald Duck was. My grandparents knew who Donald Duck was. My great-grandparents knew who Donald Duck was because he's 89 years young. So to be the third person to have officially voiced him in that period of time is really special to me. And my mom taught me how to do the voice when I was a little kid. So we had a very special relationship growing up. That was kind of our love language. We would talk in Donald Duck to each other. I recently lost my mom last month, unfortunately, but she was very proud of me and very happy that this all happened because it just lifted both of us up in so many different ways. I love Disney. I love the history of the character, all the characters. It is just... I'm doing this? What? Gets me every day. Thank
I
you.
have an interesting question.
Okay, but make sure it's interesting.
Did Donald Duck ever get his turn of Scrooge's fortune? Like, can he physically do that? Wouldn't you, like, break him his body, so to speak?
Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know.
The question is, would Scrooge like to be told that information? I think not. I think Scrooge might have a different opinion about it.
Anyone else? Anyone else have any questions?
I love the awkward silence. More of that, please.
What's the time? Okay.
When did you start voicing Donald Duck?
Well, thank you for that question. I started, I'm still relatively new. I started in 2015 with a really fun show called Mickey and the Roadster Racers. And so, yeah, I've kind of been living and breathing on the Disney Junior channel with a lot of their content. And that has just been such an amazing experience. So 2015 is when I started.
We got one right over here.
I think if you just throw it, it's tethered.
Yeah, so In the first season of DuckTales, did you also play Donald Duck's voice after he got the voice box?
No, afraid not. Don Cheadle actually jumped into voice Donald for a little bit in his own natural speaking voice. It wasn't what's called buckle speech, which is the technical term for Donald Duck talk.
Who's your least favorite Disney character?
My least favorite Disney character. It depends on who here from the Walt Disney Company is listening right now. I'm going to say, quite frankly, I really love all the Disney characters. I'm not paid to say that, but it's true.
No worries, no worries. Great outfit.
Hello there.
My question is, since you're the third voice of Donald Duck, do you feel any responsibility or pressure, and how do you handle that? And what would be your advice for future voice actors in Disney?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, a lot of responsibility. Cartoon characters are venerated echoes of our past and custodians of our childhood. And so when you tap into something that's so special and something that has lasted for generations and been known worldwide, I mean, the Donald Duck voice is probably the most recognizable character voice, I think, of all time. For someone to say, hey, you're going to do this now, yes, that is a lot of responsibility, and I took it as well as I could. I would go back and watch all the old cartoons, all the old classic Clarence Nash library, my favorite being Apple Core with Chip and Dale.
Apple Core, who's your friend? Me.
Splat, apple in the face. But part of my job was to take what was initially an impression that I used to do for friends to make people laugh, and then get up right up in front of the microphone and listen to all the stomach gurgles and mouth clicks that are coming out when I'm trying to do that, and to hone it and make it sound proper. So it's very different when you're doing an impression and then you're going to do an actual voice. You have to know all the isms. You have to know how Donald is going to react in any given situation. And fortunately, because he's what we call a legacy character, meaning it's passed down from generation to generation, there's a lot of material for me to work with and a lot to learn from. As an example, when Donald laughs, compared to when he chuckles, it's important to know what those sounds are like so that when we're working with the current material, we can say, well, what would make this even more Donald Duck-like, or what would fit in this moment? So that's the kind of stuff that I really took on a lot of responsibility to say, we're going to do it the best we can. So when people listen to the show, they don't hear me, they hear the character they wanted to hear in the first place. I hope that answered the question. Thank you.
This is a question. How many times have you been to Disneyland, and what's your favorite ride?
Can you say that again, please?
I said, how many times have you been to Disneyland, and what's your favorite ride?
Oh, Disneyland. I've been to Disneyland probably in my lifetime. I'm going to say 6 times. 6 times. And my favorite ride, I really love the Haunted Mansion. I love dark rides, but Pirates of the Caribbean, Big Thunder Mountain, Star Wars, Rise of the... Don't make me choose. There's so many good ones. Haunted Mansion. That's it, Haunted Mansion.
I am so sorry you lost your mom.
Thank you, thank you.
My heart goes out to you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Is, have you ever lost your voice when you played Donald Duck? Because
Good question. I've not lost my voice. Again, it's not a voice that I'm actually performing. It's a sound. It's a mechanism. There's a pocket of air in my cheek that actually makes the sound. So anytime I'm using and speaking in that character's voice, that's where that noise is basically coming from. So with that being said, it's like doing exercises. If you're, lifting, weights, eventually you're going to go, eventually that's going to happen. And there was one episode that I was recording where Donald had a bunch of lines. And mind you, when we go in for a session, we do an A, B, and C take. We'll do it 3 times so that we have, any issues, any weird sounds, or the delivery, we can have, room to tweak it. And in that particular episode, we had a lot of rewrites. So I was having to say lines, 5 or 6 times instead of 3. And by the end of it, I had like over 200 lines, and my tongue swelled up and my cheek started to bleed. And my director, hits the button and he goes, Daniel, I think we should take a break. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. This is, it's going to be great. Okay. So eventually I said yes. But yeah, it was a matter of learning my own limits in that case. And then from then on out, just like working out, the more you do, the better you become, the stronger, faster, homie. It's pretty cool.
Yeah! What's your side?
Thank you. I have 2 questions. So how many voices can you do? And then the second question is, do you have people constantly coming up to you and giving you their Donald Duck impression?
In answer to the second question, yes, all the time. And I love it. I absolutely love it because that was me. Growing up, that was me. If somebody else was doing a Donald Duck voice, I'd be there doing the Donald Duck voice, just like everybody else. So yeah, absolutely. I love it. I absolutely love that. And, just from somebody on the other side of the fence, when I would go to conventions to meet my favorite voice actors, I would do the voice for them and they'd say, oh, that's pretty good. And I go, yeah, right? Yeah. And they hear that all the time. But it was just that little piece of encouragement of, I hear you, I see you, we share something special together that I think makes voice acting in particular one of the coolest things that you can do or be attached to. So with the first, what was your first question again?
Like
How many voices can I do? I counted once, and I think I listed close to 300. Now, mind you, this is not just impressions. This is encompassing of accents. This is encompassing of like a weird voice that maybe I used to do in the neighborhood to make the kids laugh, like that has a name that goes on the list. So yeah, probably close to 300. A lot of what I do when I do voiceover work for animation in particular is utility work. They'll bring me on for one voice and then give me a bunch of other small voices because they know that I have a certain kind of range, which of course I love doing. So the more the merrier. Great questions. Thank you.
Does that include like wallet acting?
Say that again?
Does that include like wallet acting?
Walla's a little bit different, but yeah, I mean, look, you're using a voice for whatever the situation is, whether it's Walla or otherwise. Walla is less heard, so people will recognize this. When you go through the process of filming a movie, you'll notice that sometimes you have like 2 main actors and they're talking to each other and you hear them crisply and cleanly. And there's other people in the background in the restaurant who are having conversations. While they are filming, the extras are doing this. And the Walla group, the loop group, are the people that go in afterwards and add the voices to the background. So if you're on a busy like New York street, I'm walking here. All right, I'll meet you down at 42nd. Okay, that's what a loop group basically does. So sometimes there are some voices used, especially with animation. Sometimes they'll have little one-off characters. Hey, we need a Tweety Bird voice for this character. What you got? Okay, I'm a Tweety Bird. Okay. Like whatever the case is, whatever fits, that you just kind of show up and do it.
Okay. Okay, one, I don't know if you're comfortable answering this, but what's the salary and pay range like for a voice actor? And 2, are you friends with any of the previous Donald Duck voice actors?
So, salary range, it's all over the place. I'm an independent contractor, and I go basically where I'm wanted. So I'm constantly auditioning all the time, every day, 2, 3, 5 times a day, sometimes 20 times a day. I'm auditioning. That's my job, 95% of the time. The rest of the time, I'm on TikTok, doing social media or actually doing the job. So, yeah. And then the first part of that question, Clarence Nash, the original voice of Donald, passed away in 1984. So I did not have a chance to meet him. He voiced Donald from 1934 to 84 for 50 years. Tony Anselmo took over after him. He's been doing it for about 30 years. I'm the third guy, so I'm still relatively new. I have not met Tony yet.
What was your favorite film that you made?
My favorite film that I made? I would love for it to be Sonic 2. But alas. My favorite movie that I've made? Well, I used to produce schlocky independent horror comedies back in the day, so probably Ninjas versus Zombies. You're welcome.
You got it. I got it. Do you prefer recording at home or in the studio?
I mean, one affords me the opportunity to wear pants, and the other does not. So, I mean, I like recording from home. It's very easy. Honestly, I like going into the studio. Number one, because you never know who you're going to run into. You never know who you're going to cross paths with and say hello and get the giggles because, oh my gosh, it's you, whoever you are. That's one of my favorite parts of going into the studio. The second part, I think, is I prefer to be in my creative element rather than focusing on the technical aspects of a recording session. And when I do it from home, I have to be cognizant of all those things. I have to make sure my levels are good. I have to make sure my, mic distance is good. My performance is good. All the while not having somebody to look, into their eyes and get a sense of what's going on. Zoom is fine, but it's not the same thing. So I do prefer to go in. But it's much easier otherwise. I can just roll straight up out of bed.
Are there different pitches and sound ranges that you go from when it's like Donald versus like Louie, Dewey, and
Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Well, I don't voice Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Those were originally voiced by Russi Taylor, the late Russi Taylor, who did Minnie Mouse, who passed away a little while back. And I have a story about that in 1 second. But yes, there is a difference in the Donald voice that I do compared to what Clarence and Tony does. It's not readily audible to everybody. Not everybody recognizes that. But for me, I do. One of the notes that I was given when I started the show, Roadster Racers, was this is for a younger demographic. They need to be able to understand the character more so than they have been in the past, because part of Donald's shtick is, what'd he say? What'd he say? What'd he say? So that's part of the gimmick, but for the younger show, they wanted him to be a little bit more clear. So I had to adjust. My version of Clarence Nash is, and mine is, so you can kind of still hear the words. Some of them are a little bit tricky. But one of the other things is that I can say just about anything in the character voice. I can even speak in other languages. I can do different versions of the character. Like I said, Clarence Ducky Nash. I could even do like a little quacker from Tom and Jerry.
Are you Mama? Are you doing it?
I don't do that voice, but that's something that is within that range. So I'm very happy to have that gift to be able to gab in the duck.
Any questions over here? Actually, I have a question.
Yes.
Like you said, it does put a little bit of a strain on you. Is there anything in particular you do to recover after doing Donald for long periods of time?
Yes, sleep. I sleep, I bathe, I eat. Really, there's not much that I can do other than rest. Again, it's the mechanism that would get sore if I'm overusing it, or my tongue might swell up a little bit. Otherwise, I can still speak perfectly fine. But it is akin to holding your breath. So there have been times where I've almost passed out doing the voice because I'm just going on a slew of words, like a long sentence, and then I have to and then reset. Okay, take a second and do it again. But yeah, sometimes it's like, I'm holding my breath. I'm seeing stars.
This is a Daisy question. How much does Donald loves Daisy the most? Because they're the best
Daisy! I love Daisy!
Have you met the voice of Daisy?
Of course, Tress McNeil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She plays Dot in MAS.
That's right. That's right. And so many other things. My goodness.
Yeah.
Tress McNeil is in everything.
Have you ever been noticed in public as Donald Duck?
That's a really good question. I have been noticed probably once for Donald Duck. Most people know me from TikTok, which I think is hilarious because I started TikTok obviously 2 years ago when the world ended. And it was just a means for me to have some escapism from being at home and just do something different, do something fun. But also as a part of my business, I have to stay in people's periphery. I have to stay within their line of vision, basically. Casting directors, producers, writers, they need to remember, oh yeah, Daniel Ross, he's out there among the thousands of other voice actors and actors. So it's important for me to be like, hey, I exist, hello. So doing silly videos and posting that across social media was huge, and kept me working over the past couple of years, which I don't know what I would have done had TikTok not been there. So yeah, TikTok is where most people notice me from. Some people know me from the Ninjas Versus movies, but these days it's pretty much TikTok. Oh, and I didn't say the thing from before, my story about Russi Taylor. So as you know, she used to do Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Minnie Mouse, and she sounded like Minnie Mouse. She was a little old lady and just the sweetest individual. And I was going into a session while she was coming out, and she sees me and she goes, oh, Daniel, do the voice, honey. And I'm like, you did the voice. And I'm like, what voice? And she goes, oh, you know, do the voice, honey. So I was like, okay.
All right, what's your big idea?
And then she started talking like Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and we had a whole conversation as Uncle Donald and the nephews. And I can't even make my face work when I'm talking about this. It was the last time I saw her before she passed away. And it was just such a gift that she gave me in that moment.
Voice characters that you had to do princesses?
Not princesses specifically. Because that's, Bobcat Goldthwait's one of my favorites. Hey, you two, where are you going? My panel's not done yet. Okay, bye. I'd like to do Pain from Hercules.
This one's kind of weird, but do you ever get annoyed from the Donald Duck voice?
No, I don't think so. Here's the thing. The voice itself, I love. That's been a part of my life well before I was even doing the voice for Disney, of all places. So Donald has always been integral to who I am as a performer. And so I don't get annoyed by that. Once in a while, if I'm like really exhausted, I've had a long day, and then I just get a bunch of people who meet me for the first time and go, do the voice! That's the thing I always get, do the voice! Not, excuse me, sir, would you please mind terribly doing the voice? That would be so nice, thank you. Do the voice! So, if it's a long day, I might be like,
Okay, how about that?
But I love it. We're all sharing in the same wonderful magic that Disney's created, and any day I get to do it is a joy.
I was going to ask, and I apologize if I already asked before, but what would your
Apology accepted.
What would be your advice to young or older people who are interested in getting into voice acting?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I get asked that one quite a bit. There are a couple different things. First and foremost, I do voiceover coaching on the side, so I work with a lot of students. I do workshops and teach because I love voiceover, and I firmly believe that when you achieve something in life, no matter how big or small, you should throw the ladder out behind you and say, come on, everybody, let's go. So I like to take the years of experience that I've had working in this industry and say, here you go. Here it is on a plate. But a piece of advice that I would give to people is, number one, study acting. Study acting. It's one thing to do a silly voice to entertain somebody. It's another thing to completely embody a different character and bring them to life. No matter how silly the voice or realistic the voice, it is a character that you're portraying. So you should know a full dynamic of what that character is and how to bring that to life, how to block a scene and how to, perform the physicality of it, even if there is no physicality, which is unique to voiceover. It's a very complicated process, but studying acting is at its fundamental, probably the keystone. Studying improvisation. Everybody should study improv. Oh my gosh, it is great for all walks of life. Just the social dynamic of it, being able to listen and respond to somebody else, whether it's funny or not, will help you in all situations in life. I find it useful with voiceover because it keeps me thinking on my feet, keeps me making interesting creative choices, keeps me in a playful mode so that I'm able to more nimbly navigate that crazy lifestyle. But yes, fundamentals of acting, improv. Check out a website called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com, which is curated by D. Bradley Baker, who's one of the biggest voice actors in our industry. That's a really great resource. And yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you able to freestyle in the voice?
Am I able to freestyle in the voice? I've not tried, so I'm going to say no, but I haven't really tried. You're asking me to do things that, let's see here.
Yo, my name is Donald, and I'm here to say I'm doing a battle at Sac-Con. Yay! Freestyle.
Right. We don't want to do that.
Is there anything in the future to expect from Donald or you?
Well, absolutely. Donald will continue long past me, even being a material human being. He will be around for eons, probably. So I would absolutely say there's going to be more material. I just couldn't tell you if there is or isn't, because I gotta sign these things called non-disclosure agreements, and that means I can't tell you anything. The only thing I can tell you is this year will be very big on the video game front for me. Not necessarily for Donald, but for me.
Do we get to know any publishers or no?
Nope.
Too far.
Nope. Get to know nothing. I saw a hand back here.
Just wondering if you've ever done any audiobooks or considered doing them?
Audiobooks are one of those things that I just never found my way into. Audiobooks require, number one, a great narrating voice, a great sense of storytelling, but it also requires you to be able to tell the dynamic between some of the different characters when you're speaking in their voice. So that requires a specific talent that a lot of people in animation tend to gravitate towards. But I will say that audiobooks tend to pay a lot less than what I do. So I don't really seek out that work. But if something happened across my path, I wouldn't say no. Oh, and I didn't answer that question earlier about what voice actors make. I'm so sorry. So I'm a union voice actor, and we make something called scale. Scale is basically what is universally negotiated for a day's work as a union actor. And then there's different layers and levels of contracts, that can show up in that framework. But it's never set at one specific thing. Sometimes you can negotiate for a specific rate if you're that good, or you're that needed, or if you're a celebrity, or otherwise you get what they offer you and you say yes, thank you.
Have you ever played Kingdom Hearts?
I'm sorry?
Have you ever played Kingdom Hearts?
Yes, I have. And why Donald never heals me, I will never know. Probably because I didn't find all the ingredients.
This looks like a good place to find some ingredients.
Yes, Donald, I know.
This looks like a good...
Yes, Donald, I know. Just heal me.
Sure.
We got two back there. Let's get this gentleman right here, and then we'll get you right after.
Hi, I'm wondering if you have any intellectual property patents on your voices or anything like that, or they get hired out and you just do the voice they ask you to do.
You are hired and fired every time you go in and leave the studio. There is never usually a long-term contract unless you're like Tom Kenny for SpongeBob, or something like that. But most of the time, all the Looney Tunes characters, like the Warner Brothers characters, they're all hired and fired every single time.
So you don't develop characters and then market them?
Not specifically. Now, what I will do just with my day-to-day work, and that's a great question, by the way, thank you for that. I have a tool chest that I reach into and pull out for specific archetypes. So as a voice actor and as someone who's running a business, it's important for me to know what it is I'm good at so that I can say, hey, world, I'm good at that. You should pay me for this service. So that requires some headspace and thinking about, okay, what voices can I do? What voices can't I do? What am I really good at? What can I add layers to that are comfortable for me? So I probably have maybe about 10 different characters that I cycle in and out of on a regular day for, auditions. And then hopefully one of those characters becomes, so well known that I can't use it again, without somebody noticing. But that's happened on many occasions where I've used a similar voice over and over and over and nobody knows. It just works for the project.
We talked about acting and
No, I didn't! Envy.
somebody kind of asked this question, but I want to phrase it differently. When you're had a long day, done Donald Duck or whoever it is, and it's a story, so the stories bring back different emotions or anything and stuff. Do you ever get trapped in those emotions and end up taking them home with you, and you just find that you're in the same space because you've been doing that all day?
What a fantastic question. Thank you for that. Not with Donald Duck. Not with Donald Duck. Donald is a joy and is one of those things where I've been doing it so much now that I don't feel like I have to even think about it. I step in front of the microphone and just kind of go, there you go. You speak through me. Go into the light. Speaking through me. But there are other situations, like let's say video game roles, where you're doing something really serious or you're doing something like traumatic, like a character is dying or their village is being burned and their life is ruined. And as the performer, you kind of do have to internalize some of that to be able to show people that that's what's going on. The interesting thing about voiceover, everybody, and this is how I explain it, doing theater is like getting your bachelor's degree. Okay, you have to learn all these things and become a master of how to work within a proscenium, stage left, stage right, how to frame yourself so you're not turning your back, how to speak to the person in the back of the audience. Overly large, exaggerated physical motions, that's theater. Then you transition to film, where you take all that away. It's all behind the eyes. It's all within the intent. What do I do with my hands? What do I do with the person? What do I do with the scene? It has to be real. So there's a different transition there in terms of the performing art. Then we get to voiceover, and we take all of that away. We have no facial expressions. We can't talk with our hands. It all has to come through here. So when you make that realization of the difference between all these things and how difficult voiceover can actually be, it just gives you a real respect for how it works. And yeah, sometimes when I'm in the heat of a role and in the moment, I take a little bit of that with me. But here's the thing. A lot of what you put into an acting performance is already there. It's already within you. So some people, some actors, depending on what their style of acting is, they will go back into a role and they'll say, okay, I lost, like in this movie, my best friend, was just like shot and killed or something horrible like that. Well, I'm going to go back into my brain and think about when somebody close to me passed away. How did I feel? What did that do to the cadence and rhythm of my voice? What did that do to my anxiety or my depression? How does that come out when I speak about something? So those are all things that you have to think about. And because it's voiceover, I think it's enhanced in a certain way. It's like it's distilled. So a little bit of that can linger. And so having some mechanisms in place, self-care especially, having a good support system, people to talk to, learning how to meditate. I know it sounds kind of foofy, but you know what? It works. And when you carry this emotional weight and you give it to other people, it's important to keep yourself as safe as possible with that. I hope that answered the question. Tough, because it's like now we're talking about acting stuff, acting proper stuff. And it can be tough.
Do you have a signature for when you're doing your voice that we should listen for, or something that's unique to you when you're doing your characters?
Yes. So my voice type tends to be a little bit more quirky, a little more high energy, a little offbeat. I tend to do a lot of villainous characters. I tend to do a lot of quirky characters. So the through line through that, I think, is just the energy that I put into it. I think you'll hear the devotion to the role when I'm performing something as compared to maybe like the rest of the ensemble. I'll stick out in certain respects. But there is a cadence and a rhythm to my voice that is just learned from family and where I'm from, and that just kind of peeks in. And I notice it, but not a lot of people do. But there's no one thing. There's no one thing. That's a great question, though. My gosh. Y'all with the questions today. I'm so happy.
Oh, right there.
Yes, I heard someone snoring in the back. You want to wake them up?
Well, that was me on very low.
You threw your voice all the way over there. Hey there.
How was your time voicing Starscream in Transformers?
Oh my gosh, it was so cool. I'm a huge Transformers fan. Thank you for that question. I've got some Cybertronian on me. It says Transform. I've got a massive collection. I've been collecting since I was a kid. Yeah, Transformers was a hobby before it was anything else. And I came to the realization later in my adult life that I was always a voice actor and didn't realize it until later in life. And I think it was around the time that Beast Wars Transformers came out, around like 1996, that I started taking notice of the voices, like the people behind the voices. It was like a light bulb went off. Voice acting, there's somebody there. It's not just a character, there's a person. That's a job that somebody can have. Why not me? Why not me? So I made that realization. It was like, oh my gosh, now I'm learning about this voice actor or this voice actor. They did this project, they did that project. And it was like this whole world that I got pulled into. And I loved it so much. So Transformers got me into it, got me to understand the voiceover process. And then when the movie was about to come out, I campaigned to try to get into the movie, to get an audition. And so I created a comic book that featured myself in a story with the Transformers. I sent it to Michael Bay. I sent it to Steven Spielberg back in 2006. Just wanting an audition. Just wanting an audition. That's all I wanted. I didn't have any illusions that I would be in the movie. I just wanted to do it, to say, I did that. Look what I accomplished. And I got my audition. I was in a Toys R Us looking at Transformers when my agent called and said, you got the audition. And I went, what? What? Okay. This is kind of cool. So to be able to marry my hobby with my passion, that's where I cut my teeth, doing fan dubs from Japanese Transformer shows like Headmasters or Victory. And to have that be my origin story, basically, was just nuts. But I'll tell you this, too. I go into my session, and I had been rehearsing the voice that I booked, and they wanted something really scary, something really demonic that would frighten children. That was my note. And so we're re-envisioning Starscream, because the original Starscream sounded like this: Decepticons, retreat! Really high pitch. Cobra Commander also. Cobra, retreat! Same thing. Always retreating. And so we get into the booth, and me as the fan, I'm like, okay, let's do this for the next generation. And the voice we came up with was, Decepticons, this is Starscream. Make for the rendezvous point. The Allspark. We'll shoot. I can't even do it right now. Not enough Red Bull. But that was like the voice. And they said, you just want a light British accent. And I said, so you're telling me you want Starscream to sound like this? Yes, that's what we want. And I went, please don't fire me, but no. They're like, okay, well, what do you got? And I went, Decepticons, this is Starscream. Make for the rendezvous point. The Allspark will soon be ours. And that's what we went with. And that stuck with me. And it was like, okay, I have to be okay with the fans potentially wanting to kill me and murder me lots. But that's what we ended up with. And I was so proud of it.
Do you have a toy of Starscream?
Oh, yeah, I've got him down on my table downstairs. You can come check him out.
Oh, thank you. Who was your favorite voice actor from Beast Wars?
I love them all. It's so strange because these people who I absolutely idolized are now my peers, colleagues, and friends, which is absolutely crazy to me. The individual who voiced Depth Charge, the Manta Ray, he's my good friend David Sobolov, who was probably the first individual to say, I think you got something with this voice stuff. I think you should work with that. And he's been one of my closest friends ever since. He's now the voice of Gorilla Grodd on The Flash, and he was in the Bumblebee movie. David Kaye, the voice of Megatron, Ian Corlett, Cheetor. I mean, I know everybody from the cast at this point, but I love them all. David, I think, was the most influential. I see a hand up over here, too.
Do you prefer Marvel or DC?
Oh, them fighting words. I like anyone who hires me. Hello.
What was your favorite video game?
That's not it. That was a cough. My favorite video game. So I grew up with Atari, and then Nintendo, and then Super Nintendo, and then Genesis, and then N64, and the GameCube. But I really started playing CD-ROM games back in the day. So I think the Myst games were some of my favorites. Myst 2, 3, and 4, I think, are my favorites. Search and explore, nothing's gonna hurt you, puzzle games, and this escape, beautiful environment. That's kind of what I like.
I think we have time for a couple more questions.
So I'm just curious, like being the voice of Donald now, was there a point where you saw like Donald stuff and went, wait a minute, that's me now? Like, was there a moment where you became official? How does that feel?
In my own mind, yes. Like I was saying before about being in front of the microphone and having to think and do all this work, and then to be able to eventually step away and just feel the character being channeled through me, that was really magical. That was cathartic as a voice actor to be cognizant of that moment and just kind of step away and go, okay, we did our work, we did our job. What was the other part of that question?
Just like, how does it feel to be like, to look at Donald's stuff and go, wait a minute, that's me?
So I had a moment. I was in Japan in 2019, early 2019, just to go, and I had an amazing time. And as I was on my way back to the airport, I'm sitting on the train, and there's a little kid sitting next to me, and he's going, vroom, vroom, vroom. And I look over, and he's got a little Donald Roadster Racer. And he's sitting there playing with it, minding his own business, and I just took that moment in. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. I just kind of took that in and went, wow, look at that. He has no idea he's sitting next to the voice of Donald Duck. But it's those little moments that really make everything worthwhile to me. I mean, this is a job that I do. Voice acting is a job. It's my business. And I dedicate so much of my time and energy towards it. But when you step out into the world and you see those little things, just the little tiny piece of joy, the realization that you're a tiny cog in a big machine that makes people happy is just, it's incredible.
I would also like to thank you and congratulate you because my mom tells me I've been a Donald fan since I was really little. I know I am now. I just love him so much, and
Well, he loves you too.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I just always loved like the Donald cartoons and with him and Chip and Dale and everything. So thank you for being that person for the generation that you're voicing him for.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You make me soppy.
How's it going, man? Hey,
Yeah.
I was just curious. Are you like an investor in any like stocks or cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, I'm big on the Dogecoin. Big on the Doge. Hodl.
Yeah. My guy.
Yeah. That's it. I do the tickety talks and the my face pages grams.
Yeah. I'm thinking about maybe starting a Donald Duck NFT.
Yeah, don't do that. You may have some folks from Disney contact you to say, what are you doing?
Well, I want to thank you so much for being out here, Daniel, and I want to thank you all for coming.
Wait, that's it?
That's it? Actually hitting time.
What? Okay.
Daniel will be at his booth, so I want to make sure all of you, everyone, go visit him. Like, if you still have more questions, make sure you bring them up there.
Yes, please. And I would also love to throw in, I would love for you to follow me on social media. If you want to follow me using actor Daniel Ross, you can find me on everything using that handle. It helps me as a performer because we need good numbers so that we get cast in things. And it's just good to keep in touch with everybody. So please and thank you. Please do follow me.
I think I follow you on TikTok, I think.
Excellent.
I follow you on TikTok.
I also have an Instagrams. I have a Snappity Chats. I have a Twitters and a Facebookies.
Is the Snapchat,
and a YouTubes.
Is the Snapchat Transformers figures?
No, but it should be. It's a good idea. Yes, make sure to send your Snapchats to Lord Starscream.
Well, thank you so much, Daniel.
I would bow, but then that would happen. And we're just... I think I need some more Red Bull.
Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, boy.
Thank you so much, sir.
No questions about Lucky the Leprechaun. He's magically delicious.
Did you ever get the Lucky Charms?
Oh, yes. Boy, did I get the Lucky Charms.
You and the tricks guy, you just like, hey, this is what's going to go down.
That's right. That's exactly right. Hello, everybody. Thank you. And we are done.
Great job up there, man.
Oh, thank you.